Wikipedia was down, so I thought I'd ask a librarian. A rubric for evaluating sources for research. Hi, this is Charlie Williams with Southern Wesleyan University, and today we're going to talk about how to evaluate sources for research for students. This quote that I just read a minute ago, Wikipedia was down, so I thought I'd ask a librarian. That was actually those words were actually spoken by a Southern Wesleyan freshman to one of the library staff. And it pointed out something interesting to us about college students, and that is that a lot of them really don't know how to evaluate sources they find on the internet, so they just rely on Wikipedia because it's easy and it's convenient. That's the reason for this video, to offer students a rubric to help them select sources that are credible to use in research papers. So question number one, information, is it good or bad? Well, how do you know? How do you judge the quality of internet resources? Do you believe everything you read? How gullible are you? Well, there's a process to evaluating sources. First, we need to understand that there is a large gap between facts and opinions. We need to question the perspectives, the worldviews, the biases of what we read. We need to be skeptical of everything that we find on the internet. And finally, we need to confirm the information, just like the Bereans did in the first century in Acts 17:11. We need to be aware of the different types of information that's available online, anything from research to data to opinion. And then we need to compare and contrast different information resources. Which brings us to the CRAP test, your guide to website evaluation. In the CRAP test, we will take a rubric and use it as a guide to evaluate web sources. CRAP, spelled C-R-A-A-P, is actually an acronym for Criteria to Evaluate Information Online. The C stands for currency, the R stands for relevance, the A stands for authority, the second A stands for accuracy, and then the P stands for purpose. So first we look at currency. How current is this information? When was the information published or posted online? Has it been revised or updated? Is it current or out of date? And are the links functional? In other words, do they work when you click them? And then we have to score that based on the answers to those questions. We would award 0 points if there was no date indicating when the information was published or revised. Give it a 1 if the date that we see is 3 years old or older, and no revisions have been made within that 3-year period. We would give it a 2 if the site has been created and updated within the past 3 years. And then we would give it the maximum score of a 3 if the site had been created or updated within the past 6 months, and all sources are current on that page. Next is R for relevance. So the question would be, how relevant is this source? Does the information relate to your topic or answer your research question? Who is your intended audience, or who is the intended audience of the source? Is the information written at an appropriate level? And have you looked at a variety of sources to be able to gauge how relevant this source is? So again, we go to our scoring rubric, and it would get 0 points if it was unrelated to our topic or our audience. We would give it a 1 if it was somewhat related to the topic but still not really useful or appropriate to the audience. We would give it a 2 if it was related to the topic and possibly we could use it as an overview or some background information, and it is related to the audience. And then finally, we could give it a 3 if it was complete and related to the topic and related to the intended audience. Next, we look at authority. Who's the author or the publisher or the sponsor? Are the author's credentials or the organizational affiliations actually given to us? Is there contact information provided for the author or the organization? And what is the domain of the site? So we would score it accordingly. 0 if this wasn't named, if we didn't know the name of the author. We would give it 1 point if the author was named but there were spelling or other errors which would indicate a lack of knowledge or a lack of thought. We would give it a 2 if the author was named but the credentials and the contact information were either missing or incomplete. And then we would give it a 3 if the name and the credentials are given and there's some indication as to an expertise in the field. And then the contact information was also included. The next A is for accuracy. So we would ask, is it correct? Where does this information come from? Is it supported by evidence? Has the information been reviewed or refereed? Can you verify this information in another source? And does the language seem unbiased and free from emotion? So the scoring would go 0 if it was incorrect or if it appeared to be biased opinions that were actually stated as facts. 1 point if it was out of date or contradicted other sources. 2 points if it was accurate but undocumented. And then 3 points if it was reliable and error-free and correctly cited. And then finally we have P for purpose. Why was this even written? Does the information attempt to inform us, or is it trying to teach us something, or sell us something, or entertain us, or persuade us? Does the author make his or her intentions or purposes clear to us? Is the information a fact, or is it an opinion, or is it propaganda? Does the point of view appear to be objective and impartial? And we would score it accordingly. 0 points if it was just something personal or whiny or argumentative. 1 point if they were trying to sell or persuade or promote a particular product or service or idea. 2 points if it was actually factual information with some personal opinion included. And then 3 points if it supported scholarly research with factual information. So once we've scored each of those 5 criteria, then we total up our scores. Each criteria could receive a score between 0 and 3 points. We add each of those up for the 5 categories, and we come to a grand total somewhere between 0 points and 15 points. Well, if it's from 0 to 3, we're not going to want you to use that. If it's from 4 to 7, it's still a highly questionable source. Probably not a good idea to include that in your paper. 8 to 10 points, it's kind of in the middle. So it's probably not a bad source for ideas, but we don't want you to quote it or cite it in your paper. And then 11 to 13 points, we would call that a good source. It still needs to be confirmed or supported with other sources, though. And then finally, if it got a score of 14 or 15 points, then that would be considered an excellent source for you to cite in your research paper or project. So that's the end of this rubric, this training video. I hope that you've learned some things and that you would want to use this rubric for any time you're evaluating sources. So we will talk more about this later, and I hope that you enjoyed it. And we will conclude this session now. Thank you. I would like to give everyone a pop quiz at the moment, and it won't take but just a few seconds, really. I just want to make sure that everybody was paying attention and that everyone was able to follow along okay. What I would like for you to do is take out a piece of paper, number it from 1 to 5, and tell me what each of the 5 letters in the CRAP test stands for. And hopefully everyone can do that, and it won't take but a second. All right, now I assume everyone is finished with that. If you would, we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and give you the answers, and we can just grade them in class right now. All right, question number 1, C is currency. Question number 2, R is relevance. Question number 3, A is authority. Question number 4, A is accuracy. And question number 5, P is purpose. So I hope everyone got 100, and if you would, pass your grades up, or pass your papers up to the front, and we'll talk again tomorrow. Thanks.